When emotions begin to collapse, the first visible behavior is often the maintenance of a facade. Studies show that 72% of individuals experiencing inner turmoil consciously suppress their emotions in public. This social masking is rooted in evolutionary survival mechanisms, where displaying vulnerability could signal weakness. The protagonist's tight grip on the coffee cup mirrors the tension between their calm exterior and internal struggle, a phenomenon psychologists term cognitive dissonance. Urban environments exacerbate this behavior, with 68% of city dwellers reporting heightened stress levels compared to rural populations. Emotional collapse often begins with a seemingly minor trigger, a missed call, a dismissive comment, or an unexpected change. Neuroscientific research reveals that such micro-stressors activate the amygdala 30% faster than major stressors, flooding the body with cortisol. The protagonist's trembling hand reflects the freeze response, where the brain prioritizes threat assessment over rational action. Modern technology amplifies these reactions. 89% of adults report increased anxiety from phone notifications. This scene captures the moment emotional containment starts to fail. As emotions overwhelm, the brain's default mode network activates, driving withdrawal. Clinical studies indicate that 65% of individuals instinctively seek solitude during distress, often retreating to small, enclosed spaces like bathrooms. This behavior mimics the nesting instinct observed in mammals under stress. The protagonist's uneven breathing mirrors the physiological shift. Heart rate variability decreases by 40% during emotional suppression. Urban isolation is paradoxical. Surrounded by millions, people feel lonelier than ever, with 58% reporting inadequate emotional support networks. Under stress, the brain craves predictability. Repetitive behaviors like finger tapping or knuckle cracking increase by 300% during emotional collapse as they provide temporary dopamine relief. Neurologically, these actions stimulate the basal ganglia, creating a feedback loop that numbs emotional pain. The protagonist's fidgeting reflects stimming, a self-regulatory mechanism observed in 80% of neurotypical adults under duress. However, prolonged repetition can escalate into harmful compulsions. 1 in 4 adults unknowingly meets criteria for mild body-focused repetitive behavior disorders. Emotional numbness manifests as procedural memory takeover, where the brain defaults to habitual tasks to avoid processing pain. fMRI studies show that during detachment, prefrontal cortex activity drops by 50%, while motor cortex engagement spikes. The protagonist's vacant expression during dishwashing or typing exemplifies dissociative productivity, a coping mechanism reported by 62% of office workers. This zombie-like state is evolutionarily adaptive but socially corrosive. It reduces emotional intelligence metrics by 35% during prolonged episodes. Suppressed emotions inevitably surface as irritability. Research demonstrates that every 10 minutes of emotional containment increases aggression potential by 12%. The protagonist's snapped pen mirrors the displacement theory, where harmless objects bear the brunt of redirected frustration. Workplace studies reveal that 78% of outbursts are preceded by 48+ hours of unaddressed stress. This phase is critical. Unchecked irritability damages social bonds, with 43% of relationships suffering long-term erosion after repeated incidents. The brain constructs elaborate avoidance strategies to prevent further distress. Behavioral economists note that people invest 40% more energy in avoiding emotional triggers than confronting them. The protagonist's headphones symbolize auditory cocooning, a practice used by 67% of urban millennials to signal unavailability. However, chronic avoidance shrinks neural pathways for emotional processing. MRI scans show a 22% reduction in anterior cingulate cortex density after 6 months of sustained avoidance behaviors. Prolonged emotional collapse culminates in numbness, a state where the brain's emotional centers show 60% less activity on PET scans. The rain-streaked window symbolizes cognitive blurring, where external stimuli fail to register. Psychological studies associate this phase with a 55% increase in risk-taking behaviors, as the numbed mind seeks any sensation. Workplace productivity plummets by 38% during these episodes, yet 90% of affected individuals continue working, unaware of their impaired judgment. Emotional collapse rarely concludes, it cycles. Behavioral psychology shows that 83% of individuals revert to masking within 2 hours of numbness, creating a self perpetuating loop. The protagonist's hollow smile in the shop window reflects social perseveration, where exhausted brains default to learned scripts. Mirror neuron research reveals this mimicry requires 300% more neural effort than genuine expression, explaining the profound fatigue beneath the facade. Urban environments normalize this cycle, with 76% of city dwellers considering it just part of life.